Hello everybody and welcome back. I am Prime Spider-Man 76 and today we are going to be doing something a bit different. Different to our occasional Spider-Man related reviews. Today we are talking about The Mandalorian and Grogu, the latest biggest screen adventure set in the Star Wars universe. This movie marks a major moment for Star Wars. After years of streaming shows expanding the galaxy, Lucasfilm has brought Din Djarin and Grogu to theatres for their first feature-length adventure. The big question is, did Mando and Grogu successfully make the jump from television to the big screen? In this spoiler-free review, I'll cover the story setup, performances, action, visuals, themes, and whether the movie's worth your time and money. Then, after that, we'll dive into a full spoiler discussion. Let's get started. The film shows Din Djarin and Grogu as they become involved in a new conflict that spans multiple worlds. Without revealing specifics, the movie keeps the relationship between these two characters front and centre. That's ultimately what makes this work. Over the course of the Disney Plus series, audiences became attached to Mando and Grogu because of their dynamic. One is a stoic warrior who rarely expresses emotion openly. The other is a tiny, force-sensitive child who communicates mostly through reactions and body language. That formula remains the heart of the film. The story itself is relatively straightforward. This isn't a massive galaxy-spanning political epic like some Star Wars films. Instead, it focuses on more personal adventure. The movie understands that fans aren't necessarily coming for complicated lore. They're coming for Mando and Grogu. Fortunately, the film delivers plenty of moments that showcase why this duo remains one of the strongest partnerships in modern Star Wars. Pedro Pascal continues to own the role of Din Djarin. Even when hidden behind the helmet, he brings humanity to the character. His performance balances toughness, vulnerability, and quiet humour. One of the biggest strengths of the movie is how much confidence it has in letting Mando simply be Mando. He doesn't suddenly become a completely different character because he's on the big screen. He's still practical, still stubborn, still fiercely protective of Grogu. As for Grogu, he's arguably more expressive than ever. The filmmakers clearly understand what audience love about him. The movie gives him funny and emotional moments, and a few scenes that had my theatre reacting loudly. What's impressive is that Grogu never feels like he's being used solely for cute merchandise moments. He's actually contributing to the story. Supporting characters are generally strong as well, helping flesh out the adventure without stealing attention away from the main duo. One area where the film immediately benefits from the theatrical format is scale. Everything feels bigger. The ships, the planets, the battles, the cinematography often reminds you that this isn't just a longer episode of a television series. It's a movie. The action sequences are energetic and creative. There's a good mix of blaster combat, hand-to-hand fights, vehicle chases, and large set pieces. Importantly, the action usually serves the story. It rarely feels like a spectacle for spectacle's sake. Visually, the film looks fantastic. The environments feel rich and detailed. The practical effects blend nicely with the digital work. Several locations stand out as memorable additions to the Star Wars universe. The sound design is also excellent. Whether it's the roar of engines, the crack of blaster fire, or the subtle moments between characters, the movie sounds great in a theatre. At its core, this movie continues exploring themes that have defined these characters from the beginning: family, responsibility, identity, and belonging. The relationship between Mando and Grogu remains emotionally effective because it feels earned. We've spent years watching these characters grow together. The film builds on that history rather than just ignoring it. One thing I appreciate is that the movie doesn't try to reinvent everything. Instead, it focuses on strengthening what already works. Some viewers may wish for a large story with more galaxy-changing consequences. Others will appreciate the film's more personal approach. For me, the emotional connection between the characters is what keeps the movie engaging throughout. So, should you see The Mandalorian and Grogu? If you're a fan of the series, the answer is most certainly yes. The movie successfully captures the heart of what makes these characters popular while expanding the scope enough to justify a theatrical release. It's fun, it's emotional, it's visually impressive, and most importantly, it understands the appeal of its central duo. Is it perfect? No. There are moments where the story plays things a little safe. Some viewers may want bigger risks or more surprises, but overall, this is an entertaining Star Wars adventure that succeeds because it never loses sight of the relationship at its centre. I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. Now, let's move into full spoiler territory. Okay, from this point forward, we're discussing everything. Major plot details, character moments, ending, discussion. If you haven't seen this movie yet, this is your chance to leave and come back later. With that warning out the way, let's talk spoilers. One thing that I really liked was how quickly the movie establishes the central conflict. Instead of spending too much time setting things up, it throws Mando and Grogu into the adventure relatively early. The pacing feels stronger because of that decision. I also appreciated how the movie uses its opening act to remind audiences why the characters matter. The quieter scenes between Mando and Grogu are just as important as the action scenes. Some of my favourite moments involve simple character interactions rather than battles. That's where the emotional investment comes from. The movie understands that. Now, let's talk about our favourite green little child. This might be the biggest takeaway from the entire film. His growth feels meaningful. Rather than repeating the same beats we've seen before, the movie pushes him forwards. There are several moments where Grogu demonstrates increased confidence and independence. What's interesting is how those moments affect Din Djarin. Mando has spent years protecting Grogu. Now, he's being forced to recognise that Grogu is becoming capable of making his own decisions. That creates some surprisingly emotional scenes. It's essentially a story about a parent learning to let a child grow. That theme resonates throughout the movie. The standout action sequences for me was the film's biggest set piece. This is where the theatrical budget really shines. The scale feels much larger than anything we've seen in the series. The choreography is strong, the visual effects are excellent, and perhaps most importantly, the action remains easy to follow. A lot of modern blockbusters struggle with visual clarity. This movie generally avoids that problem. I also loved how Grogu's abilities were incorporated into the action. Rather than simply repeating familiar Force tricks, the film finds new ways to make him an active participant. That helped keep the action feel fresh. Now, let's discuss the ending. I thought the final act was largely successful because it stayed focused on the relationship between the Mando and Grogu. The climax works emotionally before it works as a spectacle. That's an important distinction. The movie's biggest emotional beats land because they're rooted in character choices rather than visual effects. I also appreciated that the end leaves room for future stories without feeling incomplete. Too many franchises end by teasing the next thing. This movie mostly tells a complete story while still allowing for future adventures. That's a difficult balance to achieve. Looking back on the movie as a whole, I think its greatest strength is understanding exactly what audiences love about these characters. It doesn't overcomplicate things, it doesn't lose itself in endless lore, it focuses on Din Djarin and Grogu, and because of that, the film succeeds. For long-time fans, that's a lot to enjoy. For casual viewers, there's enough action, humour, and heart to remain entertaining. It's not my favourite Star Wars movie ever made, but it's one of the most enjoyable Star Wars experiences in recent years. My final score still remains at 8.5 out of 10. And that's my review of The Mandalorian and Grogu. What did you think of the movie? Did it live up to your expectations? Let me know in the comments. And please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Usually I end off the video with, and remember, anyone can wear the mask. But today I'm going to switch it up a bit. So, may the Force be with you.